Warning: the following contains very naughty language and humor. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey guys, Handsome Dave here. So if you've been following the channel, you know that I've been wanting to do this for a while now. This is I don't know if I'm going to say public service announcement or it's more so a three-part miniseries. First and foremost, guys, I'm a gamer. I know I don't talk about video games that much on this channel, but I love to play PlayStation. I'm a huge PlayStation fan. I mean, if the shirt doesn't tell you otherwise. I honestly love to just relax and play some PlayStation and just zone out. It's just, again, as I said, it's relaxing for me. But over the years, as I've been playing, not only just PlayStation, but I had Nintendo consoles, I had an Xbox, like, just gaming in general, I've noticed that the gaming market and development process has obviously changed, especially with the jump to next-gen consoles, but it's not so much the graphics or the gameplay that I'm referring to, it's the structure and how these games are released to an open market. So this is the first part of a three-part miniseries about the problems with AAA gaming. Now, by any means, these are views and opinions expressed just by me. That they don't. I'm not saying that this represents a group or a community. I know these are problems that people have had, and I can sympathize with because I feel the same way. But moving forward into this series, that these are just my views and my thoughts about it. I do not look to slander or make anyone aware or angry with me when I say these things. These are just things that I'm aware of and why I don't play essentially AAA games. I do play like the odd AAA game here and there, but there's reasons why, and you will find out why over this three-part miniseries. If you ever purchase a game nowadays, you're paying $90 for a full brand new game, and to me that's expensive. That is extremely expensive. Now, when you purchase a game, like especially back in the 90s, when you purchased a game, you'd expect a full game. You'd expect obviously unlockables while you play a certain amount of hours. You unlock something, or complete a game on like super hard difficulty, and you unlock a really cool side mission or a character or anything like that. Unfortunately, nowadays, companies have moved towards the paid content and DLC route. Now, for those of you who don't game, DLC is download content. So basically, in a nutshell, video games are released incomplete. You basically just get the core game. Even at E3, which is the big video games conference, it just wrapped up recently. You are only being shown teaser trailers and even in-game footage that is just being rendered now, and it's an incomplete game. It's a lot of money to spend on something so incomplete and so not ready for the public or consumerism that to me it's kind of. I understand their business structure and why they do it. It's a great way to make money. It's a great way to get pre-orders in, so that way you know you're getting your copy of that game and you can be the first person to play that game. But for me, that's a lot of money to be spending on a game that maybe a month down the road I won't be playing. Now, moving away from this, I personally I bought the game Far Cry 5 recently. Now, because I did my research, I watched videos on it. I watched people do playthroughs of it. I watched videos on why I should buy Far Cry 5. So after I collected, and I also went on IGN and saw that it got an 8.9 on IGN, which is huge. So I went out and bought it, and I came home, and within the first hour of playing that game, I felt like I got my $90 worth. Like, the game itself, the core game alone, it's so massive that a friend of mine had it too, and we were playing at the same time, and I found that him and I were doing completely different stories at the same time, but it was the same game. Like, we knew exactly what we were talking about. We knew one of us wasn't making it up, because this is how large the game is, and if it's something like that not only fully immerses you, but like you feel like you've got enough content with just your $90 alone. That's a big deal. That's great. But that's unfortunately not the case with most games nowadays. a lot of games, including Far Cry 5, which is kind of sad, feature DLC content. Now, DLC content that is being released will be map packs or expansions or like character customizations or unlock new weapons. And you know, some stuff is kind of cool. Like some stuff you can look at it and be like, okay, this is kind of like an afterthought they had, where they're like, all right, well, let's add this to the game, because your game automatically updates whenever you plug it in, and once a month there's an update screen, and you have to update your game. So that's fine. I get that. That's totally fine. What I don't understand are games where they have so much DLC. For instance, like I picked up Destiny, and I stopped playing it after, Destiny 2. And I stopped playing it after 2 weeks because the game itself was so incomplete. They wanted me to shell out another $120 for either the season's pass or the DLC content coming out. And I couldn't wrap my head. I just paid $90 for a game. I expect a complete game, and it's not done yet. Like this is the problem with AAA gaming, is because they get people so hyped up for it. And they show teaser trailers and they show trailers, and some of those trailers contain content from the DLC or the DLC to come, and people get too excited about it and they buy the core game and they're like, where is this? Oh, by the way, that's in a DLC package. You're going to have to pay $30 for it a month. Well, don't I feel ripped off now? So that's what essentially the paid content aspect of it, and that's been a really sour note for me too. Is because a lot of content has a lot of pay restrictions nowadays, and it's really kind of down. Like it's a big downer, because I just want to sit there and play my full game and not have to shell out more money on it. You know, and I honestly, throughout this series, I promise I will try my best not to mention EA as much as possible, because they are the business structure on terrible gaming and terrible franchise for running a company. But another thing too that has come out is paywalls and pay to win. Like for those who play mobile games, like I'm sure like the Game of War or whatever it was that came out, like that. There are paywalls in there. Like if you want to progress further, you're going to need to buy these troops, or you're going to need, like for instance, Candy Crush, you need to buy more lives, or you have to wait like 2 days for your lives to replenish. Like that is what we call a paywall or a pay to win. So for instance, if you're playing against another player who has shelled out hundreds of dollars into a game to make their forces or their team or whatever that much better than you, who doesn't have that money, wants to play it for free, there's an actual advantage there, which is unfair. And this was also slowly being shown in Star Wars Battlefront 2, where it was people that wanted to shell out the money to get all the heroes, because unfortunately they made a good chunk of their heroes pay to play or pay to win. And it was unfortunate, because it set up a huge paywall for those who just want a casual game and have fun. And you know, they don't want to spend 40 plus hours playing the game and just to play as Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker. You know, it's one of those things that kind of makes you really sad, and it's just a tactic for these companies to make money. And that's all it's become, because video games used to be about the art, used to be about the fun, video game, it has game in the name, it's supposed to be fun, but unfortunately companies see this and they want to make money off it, and that ruins that fun. And it's at this point, it's why AAA game? Another thing that they've introduced, and this is actually, the law is now getting involved in this, which is very interesting. Loot box gambling systems. Now, a lot of games feature loot box. I play Injustice 2. I love Injustice 2. Again, I love Mortal Kombat. I love DC Comics. So to put the two of them together is awesome. And then Overwatch is another game that I really, really like. But they all have loot boxes. Now, I mention those two specifically because those are two very unique titles that feature loot box systems that aren't necessarily important, except for one. So in Overwatch, anything you can get from a loot box. Now, for those who don't know what a loot box is, it's a box, essentially, in a game that gives you different content for your game to unlock. Whether it be different skins, different weapons, different customizations for your character. It doesn't matter. It all depends on what game it is. So with Overwatch, Overwatch has specifically made their loot boxes completely cosmetic. It doesn't affect your character any. It changes the look of your character, but it doesn't change how your character plays. So that same play style that you're using, the same person that is in the Major League Gaming industry is using that same play style as you. So that's fantastic. That's one thing. That's a loot box system, personally, that's done right. With Injustice, on the other hand, the loot box system is cosmetic, but it also increases the stats of your character. So, for instance, if you have Batman and you unlock a set of armor that you get in a platinum mystery box, you can use that armor. We have to get to level 20 to use it, but you can still use that armor. It increases your stats. So not only is this now cosmetic, but this is also to benefit you while you play the game, which I get. It's cool. It's very cool. But to get the really good armor, you do have to purchase more and more titanium mother boxes, or loot boxes, what they're really called. But those cost money. Like, that can range up, like, depending on what you really need to complete your character, that can go from anywhere from like $20 to $100. Like, some of the prices of those loot boxes are ridiculous. Like, and I know you're not buying loot boxes, you're buying like power crystals to purchase the loot boxes, but still, like, that is, again, and you're taking real currency to turn it into like virtual currency for one game that you can only use for this one game, and you're essentially gambling. And this is where the law's gotten involved, because they're now realizing that this loot box system that they have is a form of online gambling. A lot of kids are now doing this. They're like using their parents' credit card. They're borrowing money. They're finding ways to make money to play these loot box systems. And there's laws against gambling and minors that you just can't do. That's not right. And so they're looking at this loot box system as a form of online gambling, and they're trying to put a stop to it, which I think is a great idea. Now, like I said, Blizzard, there's obviously, you can pay to buy their loot boxes for like Overwatch and all their other games, which is fine. But again, it's purely cosmetic. You don't have to have it. It's not going to make your character any better than the next person you play against, which is great. That's a perfectly well-crafted loot box system that should be implemented. But other companies, such as, trying not to say EA, but as Warner Brothers, for instance, Shadow of Mordor or War for Mordor, like, all of those games require you to purchase a loot box to get a certain goblin or a certain general for your army to complete the game. That is a paywall that needs to be broken with loot box gambling. That again is going to become illegal, hopefully, because that's wrong. Like, I can't finish a $90 game I just bought because I can't afford to buy a loot box. Like, how ridiculous is that? Another thing this all boils down to is missing content. As I said earlier, remember in the good old days when you'd buy a Nintendo 64 game and you'd play it for hours, and you find out if you played it for like 10 hours, you'd unlock a secret character. You didn't even know you could do that. But that's the thing, is all the content was on those cartridges or the discs if you had a PlayStation. Like, there was all these different systems that they had, and none of it was pay to play. Like, that was the perfect business. Like, that was awesome. Gamers were so happy back then because they didn't have to keep buying a game once they've paid for it. That was it. They have the game. They've paid their money. They can unlock all the content without pay restrictions. And ever since, like, early 2000s, when DLC content started coming out, like, some of it was actually free to begin with. If a lot of you remember that, especially when you had Xbox Live. Like, I remember getting Gears of War and getting some of the new levels. They were for free. It was awesome. Like, that was a really cool way, especially from the developers, to say, you know, hey, we really care about your experience and we really want to make it better. So here's some free shit. Let's make your game better. Let's let you have fun. But now they've moved into paywalls and pay restrictions. I remember the first time I ever had to buy DLC content. It was for Call of Duty World at War. I really, really wanted to play some of the Nazi zombie maps because I saw the videos coming up. I'm like, oh my god, these look really cool. And then I found out that they were behind a paywall. And that was the first time I ran into a paywall. So I'm like, oh, well, it's only like $10. I may as well buy it. So I ran out and I bought one of the Microsoft Points cards and I bought the level. And the more I realized, I'm like, oh wow, I want to buy more. I want to buy more. And I'm just like, wait, that's how they get you. And I realized that when I buy a game, like, for instance, when I bought Halo Reach, I realized the game is incomplete because there was more DLC coming out. And I'm just like, why am I spending this? Like, I paid $90 to play this game. Why isn't this game complete? And this is a thing that, as a consumer, you need to stop and think about before you purchase this. Am I okay with spending top dollar on an incomplete product? And a lot of people don't ask that. A lot of people are always running out. Oh, hey, it has the deluxe edition. It has the pass, the season's pass to unlock all the content. But look at how much that collector's edition is worth versus the regular edition. Regular edition goes for $90. A standard collector's edition would go for about 120 to maybe 200, depending on what all you get in there. Now, granted, some collector's editions are cool. Look at God of War. You get a statue, you get DLC content with it that's free, you get a whole bunch of stuff with it, you get art books, everything. Some of those collector's editions are really cool, but some of them are really kind of not. Like, some of them just include a season's pass for all the DLC content, and you're paying that extra already for it. So if you try and justify that, you're kind of already buying into it. So anyhow, guys, that was the episode 1 for the problems with AAA gaming. I will be releasing another episode next week. So unfortunately, guys, keep gaming and stay handsome.